Can everybody hear?
Yes.
Yes, great. Okay. Siri says it's 10 o'clock, so it's time to start. We good? So a few announcements first. This could go on for 20 minutes. House rules. Beverages are allowed in here, but they must be in either plastic or paper containers, no glass. And be careful whatever you put on the railing in front of you, that it's not going to dump down on people sitting in front of you, especially everybody who's upstairs. Don't put a coffee cup up there and then tip it over on the first row, please. Restrooms are right through there, as you probably know. If we do have an event that you need to get out of here in a hurry, identify the green signs that say exit and go there. If we happen to have a ballot vote in here, the procedure will be you fill out your little ballot vote. You're going to come up on stage left, which to you is your right. Go across here and exit that way, okay? So, there is voting going on outside. The polls are now open. They're open until 7 p.m. You're going to have 4 ballots given to you. One is the national presidential election, as I'm sure everybody's aware. There's one on the solid waste question, which is our article number 4. There's a ballot on Hazen Union budget and one on the Orleans Southwest Unified Elementary School District budget. We no longer are going to have a school meeting here because we no longer have a local school board. So, thanks to the Highland Center for providing this great space for us again, 3rd year now. Thanks to McNeil and the Highland Center for putting together coffee for us. And real big thanks to Smith's Store for making these dynamic donuts. That's Landon Thompson who makes those. Okay, lunch will be held approximately lunchtime. And hopefully we'll still be here then. And that will be provided by Wonder Arts. Now, there's a lot of stuff that people would like to talk about today, particularly what's going on with the school. What happened with the community visit and the spin-offs that are coming from that, the trails, the wastewater, communications, and the lake quality. And also some folks would like to talk about driveway plowing, and some would like to talk about rail trail. All of that stuff will come up in the last article, which is the one that we transact any other business. However, no binding action will happen. If you want to take a straw vote in support of something, fine. No binding votes. So, out here in the lobby, you've probably seen that you can get a copy of the town report if you want. There's lots of surveys. There's a wastewater survey. There's a recycling and waste disposal guide. There's external agency reports. There's a thing from the Department of Health about how to test your drinking water. There's community visit brochures, the Lamoille Valley Trail information, Town of Greensboro annual external auditor's report, about yay thick, lots of numbers. Sounds pretty interesting. Northeast Kingdom Waste Management District annual report. The library has a display, the Historical Society has a display, the Craftsbury Community Care Center has a display, Wonder Arts has a display. There's a lot going on. So, you ready for a meeting? Yay, okay. The legal voters of the town of Greensboro are hereby warned and notified to meet at the Highland Center for the Arts in Greensboro, Tuesday, March 3rd, 2020, at 10 a.m. to transact the following business. We'll go through them one at a time. Article 1, to elect a moderator to govern said town for the coming year. Floor is open for nominations.
Nominate Tim Nisbet.
Tim Nisbet has been nominated. Other nominations? If not, and all in favor of Tim Nisbet being your moderator for 1 year, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Looks like he's not been elected. Okay. Article 2, to elect a town clerk for a 3-year term. This is a ballot vote. So, if there's only one running, we know what to do. So, the floor is open for nominations for town clerk.
Nominate Kim Green.
The name of Tim Greaves is in front of you for town clerk. You do not need to second any of these. Is there other nominations for town clerk? Mike?
Mr. Moderator, I move the nomination cease and the clerk cast one ballot for Tim Greaves for town clerk.
Mike has suggested that the nominations cease and that the clerk cast one ballot for herself for town clerk. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? You've elected Kim. Okay, to take action on the Town of Greensboro annual printed report. This is where we accept the article and then we discuss it. Is there a motion on the floor? Moved by Larry Lumsden, seconded by?
I'll second it.
Okay, by Laura Lee. Okay, discussion on the town report? Anything? This is where you make corrections. Erica?
On the Recreation Committee, we also have Devin Burgess and Naomi Rance.
Give us a page.
Okay, can everybody hear the audience people? You're gonna have to really shout or we're gonna shove a microphone in your face. Okay, what was the question? What page?
Page 6 of the committees, on the Recreation Committee, also has Devin Burgess and.
Okay, they really can't hear you. We need a microphone runner.
Coming. Still not, I think.
You have one? Okay.
Okay, not on.
Not on. Watch out, Paul, sir.
Just switch it off.
Technical difficulties coming along here.
There it is. This one works. Let's give her this one.
Okay.
Showing it dead back.
Okay, is it okay?
Lewis has one.
No, that's the,
Oh, okay.
it's not a dead batter. Showing red. Don't keep talking, Erica.
Erica, keep talking into it.
Keep talking into it. Page 6, under Recreation Committee, 2 more people are on that committee, Devin Burgess and Naomi Rance Schleifer. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Jan.
Same page, page 6, Development Review Board. B.J. Gray, down second from the bottom, is of, I'm going to say full member, and I am an alternate. Those 2 just changed.
Okay, so Jan Travers is the alternate and BJ is not an alternate. Full-fledged member. Other corrections? Seeing none? Laura Lee.
Just a small change in the beginning, but it helps as we go on because I've worked 2 hours a day at the beginning of the school year with this whole district name change. Orleans Southwest Union Elementary School District, not unified. Just saying.
It's not unified?
It's not unified.
Okay, I stand corrected. It's the new school district.
Well, it's in the very, very beginning where it says about important dates to remember, really.
Oh, can't hear you.
Oh,
Where's Lewis?
and take 5,
Lewis, way over there.
just say it.
Here he comes. They call him a runner.
Shout her ear out here.
It should be Orleans Southwest Union Elementary School District, not unified.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Lewis, way back over there.
This is a point of clarity, Tim.
Hang on, he's coming.
Could all
Could all the people sitting up there stand up and say their name and what their position is?
Oh, the people up here?
Yes.
Oh, we'll get to that when we get, okay, we'll do that shortly. I saw another name, Josh.
Just to clarify, who's the second alternate of the DRB, and who's the first alternate?
Okay, there's a question on DRB. And Jan has the answer. The question was, who's the first alternate and who's the second alternate?
Jan Travers is the first alternate, and Mike Metcalf is the second alternate.
Okay. Now, I had a request from the floor that everybody up here stand up and identify themselves and what their position is here in town. So, starting from the end, with a microphone.
Kim Greaves, Town
No,
Clerk.
you can't hear you.
Kim Greaves, Town Clerk. Thank you. I'm Tracy Collier, and I'm a Select Board member.
I'm Andy Keeler. I'm also a Select Board member.
Peter Romans, Select Board.
Mike Lapierre, Select Board.
Matthew McAllister, Select Board.
Barbara Brooke, Treasurer.
And I'm Tim Nisbet, the moderator. Now, Carl has a question.
Page 6 again, Deputy Health Officer, and I should be listed Carl Stein as the second deputy, or the health. Oh no, I'm sorry. Never mind. It's I'm listed. It's mine.
Okay. All right. Any other additions, corrections? Ready for the question? And the question is to take action of accepting the Greensboro Annual Printed Town Report as amended. All in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. That is passed. Okay, Article 3 is to take action on the, Article 4 is, shall the voters authorize the Northeast Kingdom Waste Management District to appropriate and expend a budget of $794,823 by Australian ballot. That's going to happen in the lobby. Is there any discussion on the Waste District? If not, cast your ballots before 7 o'clock this evening. Article 5, shall the voters of the town of Greensboro authorize property tax exemption for the ball field property identified as parcel ID 005-0002 for a one-year period. This will eliminate the municipal property tax due. However, the amount due for educational taxes will still need to be raised and will be included in our local agreement rate.
So moved.
By Janet moved it, seconded?
Second.
By Roseanne. Okay, discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? That is carried. Alrighty, Article 6, to elect town officers and school district officers, which we don't have any of, to elect today. Next year, we'll have a Hazen one to elect. So, to elect town officers required by law and one or more library trustees. You'll go down through these one at a time. The position of select board and the position of treasurer are ballot votes. Okay, and I believe we have 2 select board members to elect, correct? Both of which are 3-year terms. Is this correct? One's a 2-year. Okay, my thing says 3, so we got 1 3 and 1 2. Okay. Oh, excuse me, I can't read. All right. So the first one's a 2-year position, currently held by Matt McAllister. What's your pleasure for a 2-year position for select board member?
I nominate Peter for 2 year. Peter Romans, excuse me.
Okay, the name of Peter Romans is on the floor for a 2-year position as select board member.
Matt McAllister.
And who did that? George Young nominated Matt McAllister, so we have a contest for a 2-year position. Any others? I'm recognizing Peter. What do you have to say?
I'm going to withdraw.
Peter's going to withdraw his name from the running for a 2-year position as select board. That leaves us with 1, Matt McAllister running for his 2-year position.
I move that we have the clerk cast one ballot.
Okay, Janet has moved that the nominations cease and that the clerk cast 1 ballot for Matt McAllister, select board member for 2 years. Is there a second? Second came from where? From Larry. Larry Lumsden. All in favor of that motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed will say no. Congratulations, Matt. Position of a select board member, 3 years, currently held by Peter Romans.
So moved.
What's so moved?
Kim, I nominate Peter for.
Peter's name is in front of you as a select board member for 3 years. Are there other nominations for a 3-year term? Seeing none,
I move the clerk cast one, the nomination cease, the clerk cast one ballot for Peter.
okay, Janet has suggested that she move that the nominations cease and that the clerk cast one ballot for Peter Romans for select board member 3 years. Is there a second? Second by Mike Metcalf. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Congratulations, Peter. Okay. The third position is also a ballot vote. This is for town treasurer, currently held by Barbara Brook. 3-year position. Floor is open for nominations.
I nominate Barbara Brook.
Judy has nominated Barbara Brook. Any other nominations?
Who seconded?
Judy Dales.
I know.
Lynette.
Lynette.
Other nominations?
Move the clerk cast one ballot.
Thank you. Roseanne has moved that the nominations cease and that the clerk cast one ballot for Barbara Brook as your treasurer for 3 years. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Congratulations. Okay. I think that takes care of the ballot votes. Now we have trustee of public funds, a 3-year term, currently held by Barbara Brook. Nominations.
Nominate Barbara.
Kim has nominated Barbara for that position. Others? Now's your chance to get in on local politics. If not, all in favor of Barbara Brook being the trustee of public funds, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? She's elected. Cemetery commissioner. Currently held by McNeil, 3-year position.
I nominate McNeil.
The chairman of the board nominates McNeil. Other nominations? Will he accept this, by the way? I should have asked these other guys. Okay, name of McNeil is in front of you. Yes, there he is. He's nodding his head. Others? No? All in favor of McNeil being your cemetery commissioner for the next 3 years, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. He is elected. Next one on my list is that of first constable, a 1-year position currently held by Rick Walsh.
Nominate Rick Walsh.
Who was that? Janet? Janet nominated Rick Walsh. Others? Oh, this is fast. All in favor of Rick Walsh being your constable for 1 year, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. He's elected. Second constable, currently held by Mark Schneider. Floor is open for nominations. I think Mark is here. Okay.
Nominate Mark.
Okay, Mark has been nominated by lots of you. So Mike first. Mike, yeah. And I'm assuming that Rick would accept this position. He's here someplace. There you are. You said yes? Okay, yep. And how about Mark? Would he do it? He's right there? Okay, he's got his hand up. Any others? Nobody else? Nobody wants to wear a star? Okay. All in favor of Mark Schneider's being your constable for 1 year, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? He's elected. Okay, library trustees. I recognize Mike. Mike needs a mic.
Yeah, there. Go ahead.
Hello. There are 3 library trustee slots, a 3-year term, a 2-year term, and a 1-year term. The reason for the shorter terms are that they're filling in for other people or they did previously, and there's a limit of 6 continuous years on the library board. The library couldn't function without the volunteers. It's open 5 days a week in the winter and 7 days a week in the summer. 12,000 volumes taken out during the summer, 12,000 visitor walk-ins during the year. And the town appropriates $25,000, or is asked to, and has for several years. And the rest of the $90,000 budget is all raised from a very generous community. The trustees aren't expected to come up with that margin. However, people have been recruited to do several of these different positions because they have the time to put in, they're committed to it, they have the skills. And so the board, and I'm up here not because I'm a board member, but because I'm getting my wife back. She's retiring as librarian. And in our mid-70s, we're hoping to finish hiking the Appalachian Trail. But the three that would be contributing to the library, we hope, if you will elect them, Ginny Lapierre to serve a second 3-year term, Becky Young to serve 2 more years. She's already served 4. Becky Arnold, I'm sorry, Becky Arnold, thank you very much. And thank you. Renee Circosta to complete the last year of another term made open because Stephanie Thompson has moved to Morrisville. I'm hoping, and she is not here today because there was a death in the family, and she and her family have gone down to comfort others in another state. In any case, if there are only those 3 nominations, I would hope that we can vote for them by slate rather than having to vote for each one, but that's something that, if there are other nominations, the moderator will ask for them.
Okay, so what Mike is proposing is that we vote this slate, which is recommended by the folks at the library. So, but not a done deal. If anybody would like to nominate anybody else to be on the library board, now's your time. Currently, we have a slate of 3 people. What is your pleasure?
Could you repeat the slate again?
Okay, the slate is Virginia Lapierre. She was right. Where are you? She's out of the ballot box. Okay, but anyhow, she's here for a 3-year position. Becky Arnold, are you in here, Becky? There's Becky for a 2-year position, and Renee Circosta, who is not here, for a 1-year position. All these people have agreed to do it. Are you good with that? All in favor of this slate as presented will say aye. Aye. As opposed will say no. Wow, that was quick. Thank you. Those 3 are elected. Okay, the collector of delinquent taxes, a position currently held by Janet Long. The floor is open for nominations.
Nominate Janet Long.
Roseanne nominates Janet Long for that position. Others? All in favor of Janet Long as being the collector of delinquent taxes, please say aye. Aye. As opposed, say no. She's elected. Town agent.
I like David Smith, just like you.
David Smith has been nominated for town agent. Is that something you'd accept, sir?
Yes.
Yes. Anybody else? All in favor of David Smith as being your town agent, please say aye. Aye. As opposed, say no. He's elected. Town grand juror, also held by David Smith. Carl nominates David Smith. Other nominations? Seeing none, all in favor of David Smith as being the town grand juror, please say aye. Aye. He's elected for that as well. Thank you. Okay, page 8. Shall the voters of the town of Greensboro appropriate the following sums to the outside agencies listed below? I would entertain a positive motion on that, a second, and then we'll discuss them. Okay, moved by who was that? Okay, that was Adam. Is there a second? Okay, now the floor is open for nominations, or for discussion. The way I do this, I go down one at a time. We can vote these up or down through amendments. So if you don't want to do Northeast Kingdom for Aging, you can knock it out, you can change it down, you can change it up, as long as it's appropriate. It would not be appropriate to make that $10,000, but to make it $1,200 would be okay. So those are the rules. So we're going down one at a time. Northeast Kingdom Council on Aging, $1,000. And if I see no hands, I'm going to continue right on down through. Seeing none. Aware, $2,000. And reports for these agencies are either in the town report or on this sheet out in the lobby. No discussion on Aware, up or down. Caledonia Home Health, $1,400. Clarina Howard Nichols Center, $1,500. Craftsbury Community Care Center, $10,500. They do have a booth out here selling raffle tickets for some good stuff. Four Seasons of Early Learning, child preschool in Greensboro Bend, $9,500. Green Up, $50. Greensboro Nursing Home, $22,500. Questions, discussion, nothing? Hardwick Area Community Coalition, excuse me, we had a question? Oh, Jan. Hang on.
I wondered if 22,500 was in lieu of taxes or besides the taxes.
Who can address that? Bonnie can.
Taxes.
In lieu of taxes.
Okay. In the old days, we used to just abate their taxes. Apparently that was against the rules. So now you charge them taxes, but you give them a donation for the same amount. Does that sound right? Okay. Sorry, Penny.
My brain's slow. I have a question about.
Hold on, you got a microphone coming. Thank you.
I'm sorry, my brain dragged a little with your saying the figures. On Green Up Day, is it going to cost us more to proclaim that Green Up Week?
Yes.
With the earth in such troubles, I feel like it's a moral support for our earth to make that Green Up Week locally, and maybe it'll catch on through the whole state. I know we already do Green Up Week with the walking women and everything, but it's just a moral support thing to say Green Up Week. So that's my question about the $50. I hope it doesn't cost us more to say Green Up Week.
Green Up does cost us more. This is a $50 donation to the Vermont Green Up. We pay to have Perry's take our Green Up trailer up to Coventry. We also have our tire dumpster, which costs us money as well. So it does cost the town more. This is basically to support the Vermont Green Up, and the town absorbs the rest.
Okay. Good enough? Yep.
I think I understood the question to be, sorry.
Sorry, Tim. I understood the question to be, would it cost more to do Green Up Week versus Green Up Day? Is that correct? So we know it costs more to do Green Up than $50, but the question is, would the cost go up even more if we made it a week instead of a day?
I guess we would probably get more garbage in the dumpster, and they would probably come up with more tires from supposed to be beside the road, maybe out of their garage, but we would come up, and it would cost us more to have a week because they would have more time to clean out their garage.
Okay.
I'm going to give them $100.
Okay. Chrissy would suggest that we up this from $50 to $100. Is there a second on that amendment? Victoria,
Hi.
did you second that?
I'm not seconding yet, but
Okay,
I
now-
can and I will. I would just also clarify, I hope people realize Green Up is an actual organization, a statewide organization that helps get the word out about Green Up Day. And they've been having issues for years about funding, not in a bad way, just like it's an important organization that I think we really should think about supporting, because I feel like there's a lot more litter than there was 10 years ago. And I think the Green Up Week idea is great, but I also would support moving this to $100 to help them do the work that they do all over the state. So yes, that's a second.
So that was a second and and you like the $100 idea. Okay. Other discussion on changing Green Up from $50 to $100? This is an amendment, so all we're doing is voting on the amendment, and we're going to keep on going down through the list. So all in favor of increasing Green Up from $50 to $100, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. I heard one no, but the ayes appear to have it. So at this point, this is $100. Continuing along, we did discuss the Greensboro nursing home of $22,500. Is there further discussion on that? The next is the Hardwick Area Community Coalition, $500. Hardwick Area Food Pantry, $2,500. Hardwick Greensboro Restorative Justice, $1,500. Lemuel Family, that means the Lemuel Family Center, I believe, $1,000. Northeast Kingdom Human Services, $1,524. Northeast Kingdom Learning Services, $250. North Country Animal League, $600. No discussion. Northern Vermont Development Association, $572. Orleans County Historical Society, $625. Orleans County Citizens Advocacy, $800. Orleans County Court Diversion Program, $300. The Red Cross, $250. Hardwick Rescue Squad, $15,773. Josh, microphone.
Tim, perhaps you could speak to that large increase in the appropriations over last
Okay,
year.
could somebody speak to the large increase in the rescue squad? Carl?
Hi. So the increase comes for two reasons. One is that our numbers have been going up for the last 5 years, our number of calls, our need for more volunteers, and that does cost the rescue squad because we reimburse the $600 course cost for everybody who joins. Along with the fact that just the cost of our equipment, our vehicles, I think, what was our last vehicle cost? $195,000, something like that. All those costs are going up, and we haven't adjusted for them for several years. Watching around the area, several volunteer organizations have closed recently. We don't, and gotten into financial trouble. We don't want to get in trouble and then come to you and have to ask for a lot. And we don't want a private service to take over what we do. So that's the reason this is just forward thinking and trying to prevent us and keep us funded for the future.
Does that answer your question, Josh? Thank you. Other questions for the rescue squad? We're always looking for volunteers.
We have a course starting in August, if anybody wants to join.
I have a question about volunteers.
Okay. Penny?
I'm curious as to your rundown on the reasons volunteers are having trouble volunteering, and I have a couple of theories of my own. I think that most people who are trying to be breadwinners have to have 2, 3 jobs to do that, and they don't know where they're going to volunteer anymore. And the raise in minimum wage for the state would be necessary to these folks, and I see not having full-time jobs that are benefited with employers who let those people off for rescue work with pay. That's a big trouble for the rescue operations. If you could elucidate that to Carl, I'd love it.
We're on. I don't want to take up a lot of time discussing that because it could take a long discussion. There's a lot of reasons people are volunteer and can't volunteer. Certainly all of those reasons are valid. There's plenty more. We have 52 volunteers right now. We're always losing and always gaining, or always trying to gain, I should say. But the reasons are many. And it runs down to availability, to the cost of, people are having to pay for the cost of the course, and then there's equipment, and there's a lot of reasons why people can't do the course. It's a big commitment for us.
Anybody else wants to speak?
Okay, Penny, is that good for you?
At this point, yes.
Okay.
We'll follow.
Further discussion? Moving on. RCT, Rural Community Transportation, $900. Roseanne?
I've had some issues with RCT, getting to use it, trying to use it, not being able to use it. And I just went online thinking about this appropriation, and if you look at the map of where they provide transportation to and from, you see a great big hole where Greensboro and Hardwick are. I don't know if they think we just don't need it, or I don't understand it. You know, Hardwick is a big hub of transportation, and we're not chopped liver. Is there anybody here from RCT who could speak to this? Have they bothered to send anyone? They haven't for the last few meetings that I know of. I'm not suggesting we decrease it, but I just think somehow we need to be a squeakier wheel so we get some grease.
Any representatives or anybody that knows more about RCT here? No information? I didn't see anything in the external report on the glossary there. Okay, guess we don't have an answer to your question, Roseanne. So you're not proposing to change that figure? Okay, I see Lynette's up. Not Lynette. Name's good.
Hi, I'm Peggy Lipscomb. I suggest we lower it to $500, and maybe someone will come to us and say, why did you lower our appropriation?
Okay, Peggy's suggestion, her amendment is to lower it to $500. Is there a second?
I second that.
Janet seconds it. Okay, discussion. Do you want to say anything more, Peggy? Okay.
Discussion?
I recognize Penny.
I would suggest that perhaps whatever amount we send them, if there are other people who have had this experience of not being supported by RCT in this area, we maybe send them a petition saying we feel underserved, and individuals have had trouble with this. So I don't know whether, maybe a petition to be put up Willie's in the library. I could write something like that, but we need to send RCT a complaint that we're feeling underserved if that's shared by other people in this room or in this community.
Okay. We're discussing an amendment to drop it from 900 to 500. Jenny?
Yeah, oh, thank you. Many of our Meals on Wheels clients do rely on RCT now. We had a person who could only get to his dialysis because of RCT. We've had other people that can't get out to a food store that really rely on RCT. It may take some advanced planning on the part of the persons who want to use RCT, but it definitely is something that I am well aware of people in Greensboro that utilize and rely on RCT. So I certainly would not recommend reducing it. I do agree it would be very helpful, I think, if we present the concerns that other people have heard to RCT to see if there can be some improvements made, but I would not recommend reducing our recommended allotment.
Okay, I saw Hal.
I have worked with a resident of Greensboro who has relied on RCT for trips to Hardwick, the dentist, the co-op, other places. I don't know why the hole that you're describing in their service to Greensboro and Hardwick, but they operate on the basis of phone calls, and you line up a driver and they will come as requested, so that I think that to say they don't serve us is awkward. I don't know enough to say yes or no about reducing, but I think on the face of it, I would not reduce them until we had better information.
More discussion, Bobby? Right beside you, Louis.
Hi, this is a good opportunity to let you know what's going on with the Aging in Place program. We've got a meeting coming, not really a meeting, a community event coming up March 19th, where we will present a village-to-village program called Lamoille Neighbors. Also, a representative from the Council on Aging will come, and I think this is a perfect place to bring up the transportation issue, because we are an aging community and we're going to need more transportation. I think I read at one point on an email or Facebook or something that RCT was so happy that they were providing transportation through the town of Greensboro, but it comes through at 6:30 in the morning. So, if you want to go someplace, you've got to get up and get there at 6:30, and when are you going to get home? So I think this is an opportunity to have a discussion, and I'll have more information about that meeting coming up, but I would not want to vote down the money.
Okay, Jerry.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I use RCT a lot, and I do not think they are perfect. They can be annoying. They can, make you wait a long time, or they can do different things. But I still think we need them, and I still mostly enjoy them. So I would say that we should not cut our funds to them. For some of us, it's absolutely essential. And that's it.
Okay, further discussion on the amendment? Okay, the question is an amendment to reduce RCT from $900 to $500. So if you are in favor of reducing it, you will say aye. If you are not in favor of reducing it, in other words, leaving it at 900, you'll say no. Clear? All in favor of the amendment to drop it from 900 to 500, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. No. The noes appear to have it. The noes have it, so it stands at $900 for now, because we can review all these again. The next is Vermont Center for Independent Living, $210. No discussion? The next one is Wonder Arts, $3,500. discussion. The last is Vermont Council on Rural Development, $1,000. Okay. So, without any further discussion, unless you wish, we will vote the entire article as amended, and that number is going to be, gotta do my quick math. $80,304.00. Okay, so the amended article of all these agencies, which we've just discussed, is a bottom line of $80,304.00. All in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it. Now, I was a bad boy and I forgot to talk about the Greensboro Award way back when we were starting the meeting. So I'd like to turn the stage over to the select board to present the Greensboro Award with your permission. Okay? Here we go.
Hello? So if anyone's not aware of it, the Greensboro Award, I think, has been given for 3 or 4 decades in recognition of service, extraordinary service to the community, public service. 1984. Yeah, Kim says from '84. So we want to recognize these folks who are providing something to the community, to the town that is above and beyond normal activity. I think it's probably somewhat fundamental to creating or fostering an environment that for what we cherish in living here. It's not just the lake and skiing and the fabulous spring weather that we appreciate about this place. This year's recipients, and typically very often it's been a couple. This year's recipients were recommended by another town resident who described them as quietly serving their communities. And I agree, because I think the select board wasn't really cognizant of what these folks have done in the time since 2008, when they became full-time residents here. So this year we are going to recognize the service of Jenny and Ken Johnston. Like to come forward, I'll talk about that a little bit in front of all these folks. So, yeah, while they're making their way here, I'll just keep talking a little bit. Janny has been instrumental in organizing, driving, coordinating Meals on Wheels for, I think, over a decade and in multiple towns. And both Ken and Janny have been very involved in library, volunteering, and as trustee. Also through the church, I think service through their church. Ken is probably recognized as much as anything as the guy at recycling every Saturday. And Wednesday. Yeah, I want you to fill in if I'm missing anything. Also, he's our representative to the Solid Waste District. Some pretty thankless jobs, I'd say, but also he has been very instrumental in the AARP tax preparation service that's offered at the library. I think it's been expanded enormously with more volunteers and more clients, and serving more towns since he's been involved in it. Also, apparently just joined the Greensboro Nursing Home Board. So I probably missed a few things, but basically I think you get the picture. These folks have contributed an awful lot to the town, the communities, and we thank them very much and want to recognize them with the Greensboro Award for this year.
volunteering for the community. It's wonderful to serve the community. Yes, right now I'm very much wrapped up in the tax service. We started that about 12 years ago. Some of us at the library. That first year, I think we had about 26 clients came in. And then I've tried to grow that. We're now in many different towns. We're up in Craftsbury, we're here, we're down in Hardwick, we're over in East Burke, we're in Lindenville, and this year we've opened up on St. Johnsbury site, and now we're down at Danville site at the Pope Library. And last year we were up to 450 people we served, but Greensboro is our hub. Everybody gets in the tax report that it was made out by Greensboro, so we're very proud to be able to get volunteers. We're looking for more volunteers. As Carl says, volunteers are needed for many of our organizations. And I thank you for this award. It's totally surprised.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. We've been talking about the need for volunteers and certainly for all the kinds of volunteer activities that we have done and will continue to do. Yes, it is a commitment. For those of us that are retired, it's great to be able to do some things as a mission, to help others in our community. And we really encourage you all to join us in the various wonderful volunteer opportunities that there are here. Thank you very much.
And there are brochures up here for the Johnsons. Okay. Article 8, shall the voters of the town of Greensboro approve the following special appropriation requests from the municipal properties listed below? 3 of them. Could somebody move the article? Mike moves it. Is there a second? Lots of them. Okay, Stu. All right. So the same thing, we'll discuss them one at a time, up or down, then we'll vote the article. Greensboro Conservation Fund, $2,000. Questions, discussion? Greensboro Free Library, $25,000. Questions? Mike's pointing his finger at somebody. Nope, okay. Greensboro Historical Society, $5,000. Up or down? Any of them? Yes, Josh.
I just had a question. It looked like it was up 1,500 last year, so it would be up 3,500 for the historical. I was just curious if someone could speak on that.
So your question is, last year was 1,500 and this year is 5,000?
Just
Okay. Got somebody, Becky.
I just want, whoops, thank you. Just wanted to take this quick moment as to the library to say thank you for your support. And also, I just wanted to give
Wait, we're talking about the Historical Society.
Okay,
Sorry. So Josh had a question, but then we'll go back to you, okay? So is there an answer for Josh's question? Nancy Hill, right over here. Lewis. Purple. There we go.
Yes, thank you for giving us $1,500 every year. We found that we absolutely need an archivist where you are saving your history. And we need somebody there who turns out to be Leslie Rowell, a professional archivist, who is helping us save your history, essentially. Willie Smith tells me that we're getting 2 for 1 because she's volunteering every time that Leslie does. So we get a twofer there. That's part of our added, of our request for added funding. The other thing is that we are very, very fortunate to have Kyle Gray, who is able to do a lot of tech stuff for us. And we urge you all to look at the website that we have. please go onto your Google and see our website. See audios, videos, and lots of things about Greensboro that you may not know are there, including programs. So that's the additional, we are now paying 2 people, which we've always been a completely volunteer organization up to now. Does that answer your question, Josh? Thank you.
And there is a report on page 45. Okay, Becky, you want to talk about the library?
I did.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I just wanted to take this quick moment to acknowledge 14 years of extraordinary service by Mary Metcalf, who is retiring. Thank you so very much. And also I'd like to acknowledge the fact that Debbie Casper is also about to retire from about the same amount of time, and we thank Debbie for her extraordinary service. And our new librarian, Paula Davison, we're delighted to welcome. And if you have an opportunity to stop by the library table and say welcome to Paula, we're delighted to have Paula. Thanks very much.
Any further discussion on Article 8? Okay, the motion on the floor is to accept Article 8, the appropriation of $32,000 for the Conservation Fund, Library and Historical Society. If you're in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. It is carried. Okay, now we start talking about the budget. Shall the voters approve the proposed budget in the amount of $2,020,911, which contains the necessary amount required by law and proposed expenses for the fiscal year commencing July 1, 2020. This budget includes the outside and local appropriation requests. However, that's now $50 higher, correct? Okay. So, motion.
So
Larry moved it, seconded by Kim. Okay. Discussion. Who wants to talk about the budget? Larry? You? Okay. Yes, Veronica. Victoria.
I have a quick question about the fire department budget.
Page?
I guess it's page 22. Has to do with equipment. I'm noticing that there is an increase in the appropriation for new equipment, which I would support. I'm wondering if that is enough of an increase in new equipment for our firemen. Is there anyone that can speak to that, or what the needs are and how their needs are being addressed, and if our firemen are properly, and women, are properly outfitted to do their job?
Okay, you guys, who wants to take that? Okay, Andy.
Can you hear me? This is the first year that the fire department put together a budget for the capital fund to replace equipment in the long term. So we took the request that the fire department gave us, and we are providing for the equipment that the fire department has requested. I hope that answers your question.
Okay. Budget considerations, questions? Nobody wants to say anything about the budget? You're all really happy with it? Okay. This could be a ballot vote if 7 or more voters would request a ballot vote. Wayne?
I would like to, as chair of the cemetery board, I would definitely like to thank the town and their selectmen for increasing our budget for the second year in a row. We are trying to get a lot of things done, and it's just, and we're like all of those other volunteer things, we could use a lot of money. And we can spend it as fast as, or faster than we get it. So I'd like to thank the town and the selectmen for doing this.
Okay. Further questions, discussion on the select board's budget, town budget? Yes, Josh.
I just think the police budget keeps creeping up every year, and we're up to almost $300,000. And I'm not personally against the police department, but I feel like, is there a point where it's kind of out of our control and we just have to pay whatever they tell us we have to pay without, I just think it's worth having a discussion about it. I think there's a lot of good reasons that we contract with the Hardwick Police, but I feel like we don't have control over the amount that we pay, because like they say, if you want us, this is what you have to pay, and there's not really an opportunity for negotiation back and forth, that kind of thing. I mean, I think they do a great job. I'm not, necessarily criticizing them. It's just from a budgetary perspective, there's not a lot of, unless maybe there is behind the scenes discussion with the select board, but I don't have a sense that there's a lot of discussion that we can have. I don't know.
Andy?
This was a really hard budget year for us, mostly because we broke the $2 million mark for our town budget. And looking at where the town had opportunities to contain costs was really hard, because we want to spend money on the library and on the cemetery and all of the things that are near and dear to our hearts. This year, healthcare costs took a huge jump. Our payroll numbers went way up, not because everyone got a big fat raise, but because our cost for healthcare went way up. If there's only a couple places in the budget to actually be able to make a significant impact, willing to take direction from the town here. It's the police department and driveway plowing. Are the two big budget items that the town could take action on that would have a major impact on the bottom line.
So shall we have a discussion about this? This is appropriate time to discuss any item which costs the town money. And police is on the floor right now. Bobby?
So it sounds like the select board has obviously thought about this and talked about this, so I'd be interested in hearing your input, where you are with this.
Peter is reaching for the mic.
I think Josh is correct in that we have just accepted the police budget proposals when they come along, raises and increase in budget. It's now that Josh said this, I was just thinking that we should have some leverage. I don't know that I don't think there's a lot of fat built into the Hardwick HPD. But we are instrumental. We're very important to their surviving, I think, because we're, I think, a third of the budget of their budget, quarter to a third of HPD budget, the town of Greensboro, I mean. So it is possible that we can try negotiating more next time this comes around. Like I said, I think in the past we have basically felt like we didn't have any choice. We either had a service or not. And that may be the case. we can certainly try to see, but I think typically it would mean a reduction in services if we try to cut the price somehow.
Victoria.
Speaking to the police question, when is their contract an annual contract? Or is it a multi-year contract?
It's a multi-year contract.
I'm sorry. It's okay. When's it up again?
I believe we have 2 years left.
So would it be possible for the select board to consider in the coming couple of years investigating what the other options are so that when that contract is up and you do begin a tougher negotiation potentially that you know what some of the options are if you decide that that's not whatever terms you come to or they present aren't workable for our community. Perhaps that would be something else to add to your huge list of work.
Absolutely.
Yes, dear. Carl, and then David. David's first. Okay, he's got a mic. Go ahead. I just have a question. Is the contract a percentage of their services?
Yes, it is.
So it's
So if we get a certain percentage of those services, it's certainly in their interest to limit their costs because it's 25 or 33%, whatever it is. That seems perfectly fair to me. This is really a function of something that was just mentioned a moment ago, which is higher healthcare costs, the difficulty of finding officers in rural areas. So none of us like an increase like we're seeing every year, but frankly, I think it sounds perfectly reasonable to me. If those are the costs and we're getting a certain percentage of the services, I don't want you to spin your wheels at something that we really can't do anything about. Okay, Carl?
I think when we talk about options, we've looked at this over the years multiple times. Our choices are state police or HPD. And being someone who interacts from Hardwick Rescue, interacts with both state police and HPD, they're both excellent services. The big difference is if we have a call in a town that Hardwick Police are in, they're often there for us, protecting us, making sure we're safe, sometimes bringing and being there before us as first responders. So, and when we go to a town such as Craftsbury and it's state police covered, they can take 45 minutes easily just to show up, or longer, or not at all. So I don't throw out the baby with the bathwater here. Just be careful.
Kent.
Yeah, I noticed in the report it talks about a total of 2,150 calls per year for the Hardwick Police Department. Do we keep track of the percentage of calls that are in Greensboro?
I don't think we know of it as a percentage, but they do provide a report on a monthly basis on all the different types of calls that they have in Greensboro.
John, coming at you. Can you hear me?
Yes. I've worked down in the Bend helping out with the playground down there. And the common comment that I hear from people in the Bend is there's no police presence. And so what my suggestion is that we as a community ask for more presence rather than the services. Certainly they're going to be there when there's an accident or they're patrolling for something. But I think 80% of police work is having a presence. And I think that's something we can ask. If we can ask for more service for the money we're paying, that might be a way to get our value up.
We routinely ask for more, different, better service, particularly in the Bend, but also in the entire town, throughout the entire town. What we hear very often is that in the last, say, decade, in change in crime, the incidents and the type, and especially drugs and increased serious crime in the area, that their investigation, the percentage of time spent on investigation is increased dramatically compared to over days when they just patrol the roads typically. So it's hard to dispute that. I mean, I know that it is in fact the case, but yes, we always ask for, we very often routinely ask for more service, different service, better service. So how to make that happen is tricky.
Oh, way up there. Well, you're gonna have to yell.
Sorry, I think it won't be a problem. Like this gentleman offered, if we do have suggestions for better service using resources more wisely, how do we townspeople send those suggestions?
Come to a select board meeting.
Okay, got it.
I suspect that they would entertain a letter or email as well, but certainly your presence would be welcome.
And typically, there's a police officer most of our meetings, there's an HPD officer there, so you can not only address us, but also HPD.
Okay, further discussions on the police or other things? Matt?
I'd just like to encourage anybody here that has any concerns about police coverage or anything like that should just come to the meetings. Everybody here is welcome to come to the meetings, and the more support we get at the meeting, the more leverage we have, whether it's the police or the roads or any part about the budget of the fire department. Anybody here is welcome to come to the meeting and speak up. I mean, if you don't come to the meeting and speak up, we don't know that you have an issue, and or what the issues are. And I'd also like to say that Andy has worked countless hours on this budget to try and trim it somewhere. And he's come down to the police department and plowing driveways is the only places. I mean, Andy's really worked on this. He tried to trim it here and trim it there, and the percentages he came up with afterwards were so minute that he decided not to change some of the things he was looking at. But the only couple things that a huge price on our budget is the police and the driveway plowing. And that's about the only place we can save any money at all. I mean, if anybody has any suggestions, come to the meeting, please.
When are they?
In what they are.
When are your meetings? What time? When?
Second Wednesday every month.
What time?
6:30 p.m. Come on over.
Okay, Larry.
I got this rumor going around town about a new town garage in the near future, and I wondered if someone on the select board, maybe Matt, could update us on that. He could, what's happening in that direction?
Oh, yes, we are looking at building a new town garage. Currently, the facility we have is not really what you'd call up to par. And the guys are having a really hard time getting equipment in, servicing equipment, because it's the bigger garage we have is non-heated, and it's really not good for, the new equipment, new style equipment we have with a lot of hydraulics to be out in the cold 20 below, say, to for instance, to start in the mornings, it's harder on the equipment, not being in a heated building, and just the building we have down there, we've just kind of outgrown it, basically. No, it's definitely not up to code either.
This is great discussion of everything in the budget. Good. Other questions? Yep.
Is anybody on the select board able to describe a description of what this year's budget for the police will provide?
I wouldn't say it's changed from what it has been, if that means anything to you. So, I mean, we get patrols, hopefully daily, hard to quantify that, and investigations on any kind of criminal activity, investigation on any alarms that happen. It hasn't changed significantly, except that, like, as I said previously, there is a larger percentage of time is spent on investigations as opposed to patrolling roads and radar stops, whatever. So, is that okay? Yeah. So I would say a couple other things about a town garage. We're sort of tentatively trying to build it in the summer of '21, and we're doing preliminary work on the existing site to see if we can manage to put a building there. Obviously, we demo whatever is there, and been looking for other sites, haven't come up with anything, and always open to that if somebody has a potential site that would work out. Anyway, it's long overdue, we feel like, and we know almost exactly what we want to build, so it's pretty straightforward. Just a matter of the engineering and site work, finding the appropriate site.
Penny.
Is it on? I assume we're not making a decision on the garage right now.
Correct.
Then is this the slot for discussion about the plowing?
It's a budget item, yes.
Okay, so I guess I'm missing some history because of my not lifetime living here. I think I understand the plowing currently is being paid as a total contract with the people without any individual payment, because sometimes we don't get plowed and everybody else does. So it's a question I have, and I don't know but what I wouldn't have done better to hire them myself.
Anybody like to address plowing?
Is there a question there?
What was your question, Penny?
I just have felt snowed in way past the plowing time, and seeing the person across the road get their road plowed when I didn't. So I'm curious about, is this a by the driveway payment to them, or did it used to be? I mean, are they getting paid the same amount even though they don't plow me? Is anybody else having this trouble with sometimes they're not getting plowed? How can we get better service? And should we really bite into the bullet of paying for our own plowing? Because this is unusual in this town. Okay, so that's the question I'm asking everybody.
I have the same.
Okay, hang on. Where's my mic? Louis, way down front here. He's coming. Keep on. Right down here. Yep. I don't think you can reach her. Thank you.
Hi, I'm new, lived in the area my whole life. but recently bought property here in Greensboro, and I have the same concern as the lady over there that if the plowing is part of my taxes that I'm paying, and I've only been plowed out a couple of times, and I don't have no way else of getting off my road unless the town comes or the state comes and plows. So is that, with the plowing part of our taxes, is it better, like the lady said, to pay a personal or private plow to come and do the job and then put that money back into my taxes that I'm paying for the town, for my property?
You want to address that here?
Everyone who's on the driveway plowing list should be plowed every time they plow, which means 5 inches. If you haven't been, then you need to contact us. It is very possible that if you have a neighbor, that they would pay to have it plowed when there's less than 5 inches. The whole point of this is it's collective bargaining, and I'm not advocating for driveway plowing or against it. I just want to say this. It's because we do this collectively, it's ridiculously inexpensive. Most people would pay several times more if they hired a private contractor. Again, I'm not saying we should. This is just the reasoning behind it and why I know that as long as I've been in Greensboro, I think it's been voted on twice, and it was binding, and it was overwhelmingly approved. So obviously most people are interested in doing it still. Because it's inexpensive, it is not the best service in the world either. You could get better service, you're going to spend a lot more money potentially. So yes, if people have complaints, if they're not getting plowed, something's not working right, then they need to notify the select board.
Okay. Laura Lee, and then we'll come back to you.
Penny, I just want to address that we get skipped a lot too. Our driveway is really, really short. And if they happen to be plowing our area at 3 o'clock in the morning, both of our cars are there. They can't do a lot, and I understand that. But also, my husband has chatted with at least 2 of the drivers, and Perry's urges you to call them. If you feel like you're getting skipped, call them and give them your address, and they're very courteous and very helpful. If you call them, there's lots of times that it's not even the same guy, so to speak, doing that driveway as there is ours, or each time it could be somebody different. So if you have a problem, just call them. They can't know they're not getting you if they don't know what your problem is, so to speak. Thanks.
Louis, down front here again, Brent, and then... Oh, way down here, Louis. Hey, keep on going this way. Brent's an acrobat. He can jump over there and get you.
I had a couple times this year where I noticed our driveway wasn't satisfactorily plowed out or done in a timely fashion, and I just didn't know what to do. So I got my shovel out and I did it myself. But I'm just curious how many other people had that, didn't know what to do prior. Anybody? So I guess we've got 2 answers. Call the select board, or does that mean come to a meeting on the 2nd Wednesday of the month? Or do we just, it's good to hear call Perry's and they're responsive. I guess I just didn't think that my voice would be heard because of the way that the contract is negotiated by the town, but the individual callers do respond to that. That's what I want some affirmation on that. That's good to know.
When a driveway is skipped and they're notified, they'll make a special trip. Often there are a few that get missed or something goes wrong. I mean, I think, are we 500?
Yes.
We have 500 driveways that they plow in Greensboro.
In a night.
Pardon?
In a night.
In what, per plowing, yes. And so, and I think they have 10 trucks, So rough, basically they'd probably have a driver in each truck, I would imagine. So, stuff goes wrong, and but if you notify, currently I'm in charge of that. You can call the office, or you can call Perry's. They have a number in the phone book, and they will respond pretty darn quickly if someone's missed.
Okay, Mike. And then I got Adam, and then, okay. So, you're first. Go ahead, Peggy.
I was going to say, it used to be that the town clerk, if you called them and said your driveway was missed, would tell you to call Perry's directly. So everybody needs to be on the same page. Call Perry's directly, and I think Perry's has more than one number, so there should be one number to call Perry. I think there's the house number and his cell number. He may not want you to have his cell number. But I have called them just for drifts, because I have a very drifty driveway. And they come, right away. Sometimes if you call them on a Friday, they don't come until Monday. So that has been, I have been cooped up for the weekend for that reason. So the minute you want them, call them. Don't wait until 4 o'clock on a Friday to call them and say, hey, you missed me. But it might be a good idea to have it on the town website, what to do when your driveway gets skipped.
Okay, I saw Mike, and then we'll go Mike, then Adam.
Yeah, since we're on the subject of snow, I just want to recognize the job that the road crew's been doing this year, because it's been a rugged year. So.
I'm going to begin this by, in full disclosure, we have the driveway that Perry's calls the gates of hell. In no small part because of our own drifting issues, which I've seen Peggy's driveway, hers doesn't hold up to with mine. But the point earlier about collective bargaining is a very important one when it comes to driveway plowing. This is a big thing in this town. This is one of the reasons why my wife and I bought a house in this town, is that we wouldn't have to worry about it ourselves when the snow got high enough. It was already part of our town taxes. We wouldn't have additional out-of-pocket expense. If we drop the driveway plowing, you have a lot of residents, and not just residents in this town, but just think of all the non-homesteaders down Caspian Lake. As I understand, they're one of the biggest drivers why we have driveway plowing to begin with, no pun intended. We're all going to have additional and significant out-of-pocket costs for driveway plowing that are going to totally outweigh any potential tax savings we may have. Because let's be real, we may have a temporary dip in our taxes if we drop driveway plowing, but there's certainly some need in town here or there that's going to completely fill that void in the not too distant future, like say building a new town garage, for example. So that's just something to keep in mind. We have a lot of out-of-state residents who like that we have the town plowing because they have houses down in Caspian. You have a lot of residents in town who appreciate the collective bargaining that has gone into getting the driveway plowing so that we don't have additional out-of-pocket expenses. Thank you.
Ken, right up there, and then we'll come down to the front row.
When it's snowing out, I often want to know if they are coming. I can check this on the schools through the various websites that'll tell me if they're open or not. I'd like to know on a given day, are they coming or not? Because I don't know where this 5 inches is measured. My driveway may have 6 inches in it, and the official place may have 4 inches in it, so they're not coming. I'd like to know if I have to shovel my driveway or not by looking at a website someplace, and the Perry's or somebody's going on there and say, hey, tonight we're plowing, we're out here at 5 o'clock, we'll be there, wait a few minutes. I just suggest that to the town if we could somehow broadcast when they are actually coming.
Okay, good.
I agree with the gentleman, because you say that it's maybe 5 inches in Greensboro in the Bend. I live on White Road and I get 10 inches. So when if they contracted to do that job, I'm a nurse's assistant, and I took upon that job because I enjoy doing it. And if they're doing it, it doesn't matter how long it takes them, you know, that is what they picked up, that is what they are to do is the plow. But how do you determine that if it's 5 inches at Willie's store and it's 10 inches at my house? I've had my driveway plowed maybe 3 times, and I've had to shovel myself. And I bought a snowblower because I was sick of getting stuck. I had Hardwick PD stop at my house because my car was a couple inches into the road and the town couldn't get by, and I couldn't make it up my driveway. So how do you determine that if you get 5 inches and I get 10 inches, that because you've only gotten 5 inches, they don't come plow my driveway?
We certainly understand that North Greensboro gets a lot more snow than the 2 villages, and I or Tom, our road foreman, notifies Perry's as soon as so I'm kind of like in between, and I thought it was a relatively good average. So as soon as I have 5 inches or slightly less, I call them and tell them. They don't necessarily head off immediately, but again, if you're having that kind of issues, you need to let us know.
I did, and then they told me to call the selectman that lives there, the gentleman that lives on Gettysburg.
That would be.
He's no gentleman when he lives on Gettysburg.
Yeah. I don't know where you got that message.
Okay, further discussion on driveway plowing? Yep, Dave?
I just want the record to show that I think we get as much snow as anybody living up on Shadow Lake Road. And they've been fabulous to us. And we are forever grateful at how good they are. A couple of times we've had to call, and they've been as responsive as we could possibly hope for. So I just want the record to show that, I'm sorry other people haven't had the same experience, but ours has been great.
Okay. We're still talking about the budget. We've talked about police, we've talked about driveway, and who has more snow. Who's way back there? Geraldine, okay. Wait a minute, coming at you, right there.
I was just wondering if there's been any discussion about sidewalk clearing of the snow in the villages.
Discussion about sidewalks in the villages.
Yeah, if anyone else is interested. So, yeah, we've discussed this many times for years. And basically what it came down to, it's a relatively expensive proposition. You have to have a piece of machinery and potentially more labor. Probably, I'd say most definitely more labor. And not that we don't want to do it, but we haven't even had enough plowable sidewalks to justify it. And so every year we're building more sidewalks, and we've sort of thought, okay, at some point there'll come this critical time when we can say, okay, we're gonna plow the sidewalks. We'd love to plow the sidewalks, but it would be prohibitively expensive at this point for the, say, cost per foot, say. It's just hard to justify that. I understand living in the village, it would be great to have them cleared off every day, but I mean, we could spend the money. It's all up to you guys.
Alice.
How about community service for some of the high school students who are looking for hours? Just after a big storm, the next day, they could maybe, all we'd have to do is have the shovels available. Maybe they could be at the town clerk's office or at the library. It's just a thought.
I love that idea. Would you coordinate that? All in favor of Alice being the driveway shoveling coordinator.
PJ, coming at you.
I walk a dog in town, and occasionally they do the sidewalks. There's some kind of a thing that just clears off part of it, and it's wonderful when it's done.
So they're probably dropping down the wing on the big trout plow and doing that. Yep, takes a good driver. Josh. Louis right here.
I know this has come up before about the town subcontracting out this service, and of course, there's no one that's around that has the equipment, but it could be a business opportunity for somebody, a private person who wants to, put in a bid for something like this. It's tricky because if they did like 4 or 5 towns, it might make sense for them to. Anyway, it is something that is on a model, and it's just there's no one around who, so far, I think that the town has found who has that equipment. So.
Adam?
Actually, on that note, a question. Peter's probably the best one to answer this. The past few times that the driveway clearing contract has come up, has there been any bidders besides Brian Perry?
They've talked. We've had people that have come in and got the previous year's contracts and expressed interest, but there hasn't been anybody that has come up with a valid contract, so Perry's are the ones so far.
Okay. David.
Just one last thing. Nobody likes paying taxes, but, and I know the 5 of you up there get all the complaints and very few of the thanks. Thank you for all the work you're doing, trying to save us money where you can, and providing the services we all enjoy. So thank you.
Okay, any further discussion on the budget? Did I hear call the question? You did. Okay, you ready for the question? Okay, all in favor of the question, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, the question is, Article 9, shall the voters approve the proposed budget in the amount of amended to $2,020,961, which contains the necessary amount required by law and proposed expenses for the fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2020. This budget amount includes the outside and local appropriation requests. Now, 7 or more voters want a ballot vote, or do you want to do a voice? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. You have passed the amended budget. Article 10. Shall the voters of the town of Greensboro enter into a communication union district to be known as NEK Community Fiber under the provisions of 30 VSA Chapter 82? So moved by Carol. Is there a second? Stu. Carol, you get to speak first, if you wish. Okay, microphone.
Thank you. I think this is near and dear to a lot of folks' hearts, and this should be an easy vote, but I did want to talk for a minute for a little bit of an explanation. Internet access, I think, is no longer a luxury. It's not something that we just want to have, but it's something that we need to be able to do our jobs and to run our businesses, for our kids to do their homework. And in a town that has the kind of cell service that we have, in a lot of ways, it's the only way we have to be able to reach emergency service. So it becomes a safety issue if we don't have decent internet. And the reality is only 9% of addresses in Greensboro have access to high-speed internet today. And that's a real hardship. So unfortunately, we can't just go to Consolidated and say we need better internet, because it's not financially appealing to them to be able to put in infrastructure, because there's just not enough of us. So it's up to us to try to solve the problem. And one way we can do that is to join a communications union district, CUD for short. And that's what we're about to vote on. And essentially what that does is it allows us to partner with other towns to become a larger voice, to be able to build our own networks, to be able to bond, to be able to come up with the funding, to be able to put in the infrastructure to make better internet available to all of us. So when you form a CUD, basically ours will be called the NEK Community Broadband, and its purpose will be to bring high-speed internet access to the area. It doesn't mean you have to buy it, it just means it will exist and you'll have a choice. So once we vote to join the CUD, the town will appoint a member to join the governing board of the CUD with members from other towns, and that board will be responsible for coming up with the funding, designing the infrastructure, moving us forward in that way. Joining the CUD, this is the important part. It doesn't cost us anything, and it doesn't pose any financial risk to either the taxpayer or the town. That's the provisions that the state set out in 2015 to protect us from having any kind of financial liability as a town or a taxpayer. Other rural regions have already done this. EC Fiber is a project that runs basically on a corridor between Bennington all the way up to somewhere near St. Johnsbury. They have 24 towns that are currently served. Over 4,000 customers are receiving high-speed fiber internet. It's affordable, and EC Fiber is profitable. So it's a great model. We've got a good example already in the works. So this is a chance for us to really improve the quality of our life and be able to have a service that other areas in the country and in the state take for granted. So I encourage everyone, when we go to the vote in a minute, to vote yes to join the CUD.
Victoria.
I just want to take a quick moment to thank Carol and John Stone and all the other members of the broadband task force that did the work to get this on the warning and to do the research and work with other towns like Craftsbury to help make this an opportunity for us. This is a byproduct of the community listening process that happened last summer. So I think a big thank you to all of their hard work and effort to even get this in front of us today. So it's just the beginning, but it's a big start. So thank you guys.
More discussion on Article, whatever it is. Here comes Trish, okay. Article 10.
I very much support this. I just note that it's NEK Community Broadband, not NEK Community Fiber.
Is that correct, Carol?
Yep.
Okay. So strike the word fiber and put broadband. Thank you. Okay, further discussion? Mary Lee.
I'd like to point out that
Hang on. There you go.
at the front desk, there is a community survey for the broadband, which we need you to do, so we know exactly where we need to be concentrating on getting in the fiber optic or the higher speed broadband. And also, there's a wastewater survey being done with the Greater Greensboro project, so we will know what we're going to do about wastewater in this town, if anything.
Good point. Okay, further discussion on Article 10? The question is yes, that the town voters will enter into a communication union district to be known as Northeast Kingdom Community Broadband under provisions of 30 VSA Chapter 82. If you're in favor, you'll say aye. Aye. Opposed, you'll say no. That is carried. Article 11, shall the voters of the town of Greensboro approve moving any surplus with the exception of the HRA line item from the current year highway department budget into the HERF account in the next fiscal year. Motion? Moved by Kim, seconded by Larry. Discussion? Kim, anything?
This has been done for past years, and it just preserves what is left over if there is anything in the highway budget for the equipment replacement fund. It just helps keep that little trickle going and not have it lost into the shuffle. Thank you.
Okay, questions? Pretty routine. Yes, Carl?
Just
hang on.
Give us the acronyms. Just give us the acronyms, please.
Equipment Safety Fund, Replacement Fund.
HERF stands for Highway Equipment Replacement Fund.
health reimbursement account.
Good. All in favor of Article 11, which is, shall the voters of the town of Greensboro approve moving any surplus with the exception of the HRA line item from the current fiscal year highway department budget into the HERF account in the next fiscal year? Please say aye if you're in favor. Aye. No if you're not. Ayes have it. Article 12, shall the voters of the town of Greensboro approve having the town treasurer serve as a collector of current taxes and set the tax due date of November 5th, 2020. Taxes will be delinquent if not received in the office of the town treasurer by Thursday, November 6th, the next day, by 4 p.m. Is that correct? That's the way you wanted it worded? Okay. Motion by Mike, seconded by Carl. Discussion. Oh, come on, here you go, you're on.
Okay. That was incorrect. The current taxes are due November 5th. Taxes will be delinquent if not received by the treasurer on that Thursday, the 5th. I'm afraid that it was, Thursday is the 5th.
Okay, so Kim is proposing amendment to change the 6th to the 5th, just a typo, okay? And you've checked that that is a correct date? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Is there a second on that amendment? Yes, Mike. Okay. Discussion? Just a cleanup. Okay, all in favor of the amendment to change 6th to the 5th, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you. This is just a cleaning up the stuff, because this is kind of legal. Are you ready for the question? Okay, the question is, shall the voters of the town of Greensboro approve having the town treasurer serve as the collector of current taxes and set the tax due date as of November 5th, 2020? Taxes will be delinquent if not received in the office of the town treasurer by Thursday, November 5th, 2020 by 4 p.m. If you are in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Okay, so here we have 11:47. We can start into new business if you like, or we can break until after lunch. What's your pleasure? All who would like to take a break, please raise your hands. All those that like to continue and have it continue? Oh boy. Hey, we have a division here. How are we going to do this?
What's for non-counting?
Okay, we're going to see if we can count more than 20. All right. All those that like to take a break now at 11:48, please raise your hand and keep them up. And I need some counters. Barbara, you can count. Kim, you can count. Okay. Okay, all those of you who would like to continue, raise your hand. Oh, we definitely have it. Okay, so we're going to keep on going. So Article 13, to transact any other business that may legally come before this meeting. However, nothing binding. No votes. If we have a vote, it'd be a straw vote, advisory only. So what's your pleasure? Who would like to talk? Nobody? Okay. Brent.
Thanks. The Lamoille Valley Rail Trail, I don't know how many of you have been following this, but Governor Scott proposed something like $2.8 million in his proposed budget that will go before the legislature, and that will provide access to an additional 11 point something million in federal money to move forward state funding the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail. If you don't know about this project, there's a flyer out on the table by the voting line. There's a sign that looks like that, and the flyer's right next to it. It has a map of where the trail goes to. It's 95 miles in length from St. Johnsbury to Swanton. Imagine being able to ride a bicycle across the state without being on a road and with no hills. I mean, that sold me right there. So if you're not aware that this is happening, the reason that I'm interested in speaking about it is if we call up our legislators individually or email them, And the sheet has a website you can go to and find out the contact information. Basically, become a proponent of this thing. We only have like a teeny little section that comes into Greensboro, right down in the bend, but we will be adjacent to a lot of the towns that will be affected by it. And I believe that it's a really positive thing for the area. And it's not just for bicycling, it'll be used for snowmobiling, cross-country skiing, horseback riding, hiking. And there's examples of it succeeding in multiple places. Massachusetts, Quebec have bike trails that have come in and really make a positive difference. So please get that flyer and research it if you need to, and contact your legislator in support. Thanks.
Thank you. Victoria?
So you heard me earlier reference the Greater Greensboro project, which happened last summer. The print reports, there are more copies available in the gallery area, I guess, where people can go and pick up the hard copy of that process. And I also wanted to take a few minutes to have the task force chairs that haven't already talked, or their representatives, about what the different task forces that we created last year have been up to since we finished up our meetings in September. You heard from Carol, that was one big step. We also have a rep from the wastewater committee here who can talk for up to 2 minutes about their work. I'm going to do a real quick update on bikeability and walkability, and also Anna Keeler is here to talk about the watershed group for up to 2 minutes. And for walkability and bikeability, that task force, Brent just touched on one of the issues that they'd like to work on, the rail trail. They're also looking at sidewalks. They're going to be connecting with the select board about the sidewalk projects. And if you'd like to get involved in that task force, they could use some extra folks. Yes, connecting the village with the rail trail, connecting the villages, connecting the town to the ball field. There are all kinds of things that group would like to work on, but they need some more hands to get involved. So there's a sign-up sheet for all of the task forces, but in particular that one in the gallery as well. And now I'm going to hand off to Matteo Keeler, who's going to talk about wastewater.
Wastewater. All right. So I think. Excuse me. All right. Talking about wastewater is a little bit like talking about your feelings. And so I hope that we can all get in a habit, because we're going to need a lot of buy-in from basically everybody in this community if this project is going to happen. The wastewater committee has met 4 times, and we have a huge amount of momentum. Peter Romans is a task force chair. We've got Dan Predpol, who's in Florida, that has done a lot of the heavy lifting. McNeil, Tim Nisbet, Mike Metcalf, Devin Burgess, Stu Arnold, Ed Sunday Winters, and Kim Greaves. So if you want to get involved, please reach out and connect with any of us. We need more voices. So where we are, we're in the process of applying for a search grant, which is a USDA rural development grant. It's a $30,000 grant, no match, to do a feasibility study. We have put together a request for qualifications, identified 2 engineering firms, and asked them for a request for a proposal to do feasibility work on siting and technology that would enable us to serve 3 distinct parts of our town: the Lake District, Greensboro Village, and Greensboro Bend. This is all coming out of the Vermont Community Council on Rural Development community visioning work. And one of the things that we're really trying to solve is a housing problem in this town. Our school is affected. If we don't invest in our infrastructure for the long term here, I don't think we're going to see the kind of vibrancy that we are all hoping to see in the generations to come. So this is a long process. There are communities around us that have been at it for up to 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, trying to figure this stuff out. I think we have a great team, clarity of vision, and look forward to working with all of you. I'm going to put Mike Metcalf on the horn here because he has something to talk about, which is a community service, a requirement for this USDA search grant is that we get over 90% response rate for this community survey, wastewater survey. So Mike, make them do it.
Thanks, Mateo. There's a blue survey out there on the table and a box to put them in. It's very rudimentary. It asks what kind of septic, it asks for your E911 address. It asks what type of septic system you have, if you know. We did not ask the size of the septic tank, things like that. We don't need that in the initial survey. This is primarily aimed at the two villages and and especially the south end of the lake, but there are requests to the engineering firms to look at the entire community and tell us where in the town could benefit the most for what kinds of costs. The initial thing is a grant. Back in the 70s when Hardwick built their septic system, there was all sorts of federal money available to do a lot of it. That's something under the term infrastructure that we keep hearing about. It'd be nice to see it happen because it does affect the health of everybody. But especially if you're in those areas, and I'm not sure whether the 90% is 90% of the people in town or 90% of the people in the potentially affected areas, but we will have to do further study once the engineering firms get a look at what type of data we gather. So questions about whether you have it pumped regularly, if you know when it was last pumped, and if you have issues, concerns, limitations, etc., please fill this out. If you're unsure, ask one of the people whom Mateo identified. Peter Romans is the chair of this committee. I'm trying to wake him up. Oh, okay. Anyway, thank you very much, and do fill this out. Thanks.
Hey, Devin.
Is this on? I just want to address one more thing with what Mike was talking about with the survey. It's not to scare anybody if you have a faulty septic. No one's coming through to shut you down or force you to put in a mound system. We just need to gather information to know what we're looking at. So the state is not looking to penalize anybody. So please fill out the survey as honestly as possible so we know what we're doing. Thanks.
Bobby?
I'd just like to know if businesses are included in that survey, and in particular, like the nursing home?
Yeah, the first thing, E911 address, the property check, is it a business, year-round residence, seasonal residence, vacant land, and very specifically, the school, the nursing home, Willie's store, all of the places right in the middle of the upper village, as well as the entire floodplain and near floodplain in the lower village, all of them. The data from all of those is important, and yes, business is the first thing to check off. I'm assuming that even though it's a public nonprofit, the nursing home would get listed as a business.
Okay. Further questions about any of these things, Veronica? Victoria, were you done with your?
Yeah, Anna was going to speak to the watershed.
Okay, here's Anna down front.
Hi, my name is Anna Keeler, and I'm a steward of the Greensboro watershed, and our committee has met 4 times. We're looking into promoting and conserving the health and quality of the waters in the whole watershed, so not just the lake Caspian, but also Elligo, Long Pond, and all the streams and wetlands. We're going to go out into the community. We're going to have our next meeting at the Bend, and then we're also maybe going to go to the Blackbird Bistro and try and hook up with some people down in Elligo. And we want to listen to any concerns you have or any questions you have about the water quality on your property. We're also going to have some educational opportunities that are coming up, and we're just in the early stages of planning. So if you want to get in touch with us, Joanne Hanowski and June Bascom are our co-chairs, and Christine Armstrong is our secretary, and Stu Arnold, Jen Pfeffer. We have a number of other people, but it sounds like everyone's asking for volunteers. We could also use volunteers or just your input. And then, any questions about the water quality?
Annette? Yep.
I'm just wondering, as a vendor, is the Lamoille part of this?
Yes.
Yay.
Any other questions?
I'm just wondering if you have any results, or what is the state of our water quality?
So one of the things that we're looking into, and maybe actually is Stu here?
Hi, everybody. As a member of the Greensboro Association, I'm the water quality or lake protection chair. I have a few others in the room that help me out. So we are doing quality checks. We've been for 25 years as a lay monitoring the Caspian Lake. We have now expanded to monitoring tributaries, the 6 major tributaries into the lake and the outflow of the lake into Greensboro Brook. We're looking in that cases about phosphorus, which is a nutrient for plant life and others, and it does have an indicator on lake quality. So we are fortunately one of the glacier lakes in here in Vermont, yet we're not immune to the problem of increased phosphorus happening in and around the state. And the clear lakes like Seymour and Echo and Caspian are all being affected right now, and it's an environmental attribution, not just agricultural and septics and road runoff and a few other factors, farming. We're finding that it could be also, just air, that we get rain. And so it's just, we're gathering data, and the good news is the state is helping us with those lab tests. The Lamoille River flows into Lake Champlain, and they have a tremendous amount of water quality money for looking at things. So we are about to form an assessment as well. We'll probably do that in about the next year. But the first program that we're going to initiate that I just want to put out to is for Caspian is Lakewise. So we're going to do some volunteer assessments of lakeshore property owners, having their properties looked at and see what best practices could be put in place for lawn management, for septic management, and some other things. So I don't know if I addressed your answer about quality, but you can chat with me. Anyone who wants to, I can put you in touch with the websites that are available. It does have some actual data that the Department of Energy Environmental Conservation has available.
I also want to say that we're looking into another program that's called Streamwise, so it's not going to be just about the lakes.
Victoria.
I think there's one more.
Oh, Penny, excuse me.
This is an aside. Have patience with your beavers. There is a recent publication by Ben Goldfarb, and it's called Eager. And had California left a lot of their beavers in place, these wildfires would not have made such progress. Beavers also improve groundwater levels and quality by doing a sifting mechanism with their swamps. Swamps are actually good. We filled them up with garbage for generations now, and we're finding out we shouldn't have done that. So if you want to read a really good book called Eager by Ben Goldfarb, it is a nonfiction about the history of the beaver annihilation in the United States and the efforts to reintroduce by even parachuting beavers into old areas. So you'll get some chuckles. And there is a scientist in Maine who has developed a slow flow technique for putting under roads through culverts so that they cannot block up your roads. So we need to know more about this. I know the state of Vermont has put in a few of these, but have patience with your beavers.
Okay, Victoria, and then Stu.
I don't want to take up too much more of this time because I know other people have things they want to talk about, but the one takeaway is if you want to learn more about these different task forces, there's a table out there with the information. If you want to get involved with the task forces, even just to come and listen or just offer ideas every now and then, there's a sign-up sheet out there. Kim has also graciously created a section on the Greensboro website where we're hoping to start posting updates so you can keep track of what's going on. It's just good to see that these groups are moving forward with a lot of different projects that are for all of our community, not just for one part of it. And the more that we have the Greensboro residents, Greensboro Bend residents, folks from Eligo, if everybody gets involved, these projects will move forward a little bit better and we'll have more representation from different parts of our community. And that's just one of the real takeaways for today. Thanks.
Okay, yes, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, as also a member of the watershed group, in the end of June, we're hoping to get a conservationist that has extensively studied the lakes in the area, especially the cold water lakes, to come and talk about, her research over the last, quite a long time, and also she will come with somebody that has studied the streams in the area. So there'll be a big overview of that. And they have some other kinds of ways of, studying the metrics of pollution that they're going to introduce to anybody that wants to come to that. So that should be a very exciting thing.
Okay, then Stuart and then Nancy.
I would change the subject a bit on, have we decided on the date for Funky Fourth?
The 4th of July is on a Saturday this year. Yay. What do you think? Everybody want to do the 4th of July on the 4th of July?
It is.
It is leap year,
It is.
Are we good with that?
No.
I don't know.
Bread and Puppet hasn't usually been able to come on the 4th.
Yeah, they're kind of committed to Cabot.
And we had to contract with the fireworks people before this meeting, so we did decide fireworks are the Friday night before with a rain date on a Sunday.
Carl, oh no, excuse me, Nancy's up next, then Carl.
I want to add to what Brett has already said. I'm part of the BRI. Some of the rest of you are as well. It's the Bend Revitalization Initiative that started here 2 years ago. And a small group has been meeting pretty regularly during the last 2 years. It started as a big group, and now it's a smaller group with people from the Bend and here, from the northern village, or I guess we're the western village. What are we? The upper village. And in any case, we are very aware that having the rail trail go through Greensboro Bend would add to its vitality a lot. We would get new businesses, we'd get a lot more people, and we need to have Governor Scott's initiative approved by the legislature. It's apparent that some people there want it to go into the transportation, or to come from the transportation fund rather than from the capital budget, but it's more important that it come from the capital budget. So I'd like to ask for a straw vote on behalf of Greensboro Bend that we approve of Governor Scott's proposal, $2.8 million, to leverage federal funds to be put into the state capital budget rather than the transportation budget for the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail.
Okay, this is a non-binding vote. This is a straw vote. Do we approve of what Nancy has proposed, that we encourage the governor to take the money from the capital fund instead of the transportation fund? Is that correct? Okay. Are you in favor of that? Yes. Anybody against it? There you go. I don't know what you need officially, whether you want somebody to write something up, but that's up to you. Okay. Okay, anything else? Yes. Yep. Anna. Oh, sorry, Carl.
I was just going to say we need to set a time when we're going to eat. That's it.
There isn't one.
I think I'm the last person. So I'm also the town energy coordinator, and I just wanted to let you know, I assume you can all read, so you can read what we did last year. I'm not going to talk about that. But there are some amazing rebates right now through Efficiency Vermont and Button Up Vermont, and I just want to let you all know that this was a one-time appropriation from the legislature, and so when this money is gone, it might not come back. So if you have any attics or basements that need weatherizing, there's up to $500 cash back. And then on a whole house project, they'll fund half of the cost, so up to $8,000. So if you have an $8,000 project, they'll give you $4,000 cash back. And then there's also 0% financing available. So if you don't have the money saved, you can finance it and pay a monthly fee that you can afford. If you are interested, go to info@buttonupvermont.org, or there's a number on the website that you can call, and they answer the phone, and they're very helpful. And one last thing, we did a window insert program last year, and we're going to do it again this year. And Molly Brandt is going to talk to you about that. And once again, we're looking for volunteers. If you are a carpenter, or you know a carpenter, or if you'd like to help out with our window insert program, please contact me or Molly Brandt.
Hello, everyone. My name is Molly Brandt, if you don't already know me. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit about these window inserts that we've been making. A handful of us from Greensboro have been working with Craftsbury and Glover to make these wonderful insulating window inserts. They are custom made to fit your windows. And these are really a win-win proposition. A couple of people in the crowd already have them. This one is the window from my house. You can see it comes out very easily. They are essentially a wooden frame with a piece of plastic on either side that's shrink wrapped and has a foam gasket that goes around so it friction fits into your window, stops air from leaking in or out, and creates 2 more air-sealed spaces that insulate your window. They keep you warmer. I know my house has been warmer this winter. They reduce your fuel costs. They reduce carbon emissions because you're burning less fuel. And they're really accessible and affordable to everyone. One of the rebates is if you get 3 windows through Window Dressers, which is the organization that we're working through, then you get a $100 rebate. So for many people, if you're getting 3 windows, that could cover the cost of all 3 windows, or up to 60–70% of that cost. This window in particular was about $40. They run from 30 to 60 roughly, depending on how big the window is. That said, some people want 10 or 15 windows for their house and aren't going to be able to afford the full freight. Our policy is pay what you can. There's no, paperwork, there's no income policy about 1/3 of people who get window inserts every year pay less than full price. We're going to be measuring over the course of the next month or 2 Last year, our window capacity got taken up real quick. So if you are interested in window inserts, a handful of us, you ladies want to stand up real quick? A handful of us will be in the lobby and here just after town meeting to talk to you more about window inserts. So yes, we'll be measuring in March and April, and there will be a community workshop to build window inserts in the fall at a date to be determined. That is one unusual thing about this window dressers program, is that we reduce costs by all contributing to making the windows ourselves. Once again, they keep your house warmer, they reduce your fuel costs, reduce carbon emissions, and are affordable and accessible to everyone.
They deaden sound. It's so much quieter in my house now.
Okay, Peggy, you have a comment?
Brief. I had occasion to use the service of the Hardwick Police Department this year. Many of you may not know, if you have a neighbor you haven't heard from, not answering the phone, car's not moving, and you're worried about them, you call the Hardwick Police and you say you want a wellness check. And, you know, rather than go over yourself, maybe you're afraid, maybe you can't get out. But do use that, and don't wait if you're concerned, because most people answer the phone pretty promptly. If you've called them a couple times and they haven't called you back, it's a good idea to do a wellness check. It doesn't cost anything. When I did it, he was there in 10 minutes, and it was Scott Gagnon, and he's a great guy. Thanks.
I'd like to recognize the services of Charlotte and Lewis, who are our microphone runners extraordinaire. You did a great job, and you guys are always really good about talking into the microphone. Anything else you want to talk about, or you want to eat? So, motion is in order to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. You got it. We're out of here. See ya.